So we've got, I think, an interesting topic. We've hit on this a little bit before, but it keeps coming back up, which is the AI topic and what it means from an employment standpoint, an economic standpoint, an investment standpoint. It's everywhere. We've even had some discussions lately. Are we in an AI bubble? You have some really prominent names, that are coming out and talking both on television and writing articles that comparing it back to, the .com bubble and things like that. But let's first hit on, my question for you is, let's talk about the integration of AI in the workforce and what we're seeing and what's happening.
Well, I think there's an explosion, and I think you can also see a lot of experts are talking about this is the next industrial revolution that we've seen.
Absolutely.
And so it's being integrated in all certain aspects, and some of these things are very present, some of the things are more behind the scenes. One of the things that we see, and I think a lot of that we hear from clients, is the use of it in everyday life.
Yep.
And we've got a use of increasing productivity.
Versus AI dependence.
Very much so.
Right.
That's exactly right. And I think that's where we're starting to see the productivity. Now, what also is interesting as we're kind of learning this is there's this thing of work slop kind of creeping in, right? Where, you're being productive. Yeah, it looks professional. Doesn't mean it's necessarily accurate.
That's right.
In fact, I think there was one study where an analyst had to go back and forth with AI 23 times just in order to get a little bit more of an accurate,
it's crazy.
Real data. Now, still productive, but don't rely on it a little bit. So I think this whole notion too, there's also a fear of AI replacing jobs and replacing the human action that takes place. And I'm not really falling into that camp yet as far as where that is, because I still think at this juncture where AI needs to be is there needs to be some human interaction. There needs to be human governance over it, making sure that we can create the
technology is incredible, though.
Incredible.
And
productivity
as a tool, and where I think we're in an interesting point with AI, no different as you think of, the beginning infancy stages. Think of a baby, right? And where we're at and the growth of that becoming a human. That's really where we're at in the AI phase. We are in that infancy / baby stage.
Now it's compounding.
It is, and the speed of travel with AI is incredible and how it moves. We've talked a little bit about it in the workforce, right? Making sure that it's a productive tool, not a dependency tool. I think it's only going to get better, but from an investment standpoint, right? How do we play that? And let's talk a little bit about the bubble.
I think we have to be cautious on trying to bet on some of the big winners or who we think are going to be the big players and winners. I think from our perspective, we're really interested in looking at all the peripheral type assets,
ecosystem.
The ecosystem of it and what that's driving, right? The hardware, the data centers, things that support AI, chip manufacturers, right? Look at where Nvidia has gone and
the
some of
switches,
theirs as an example.
The cabling,
that's right.
The HVAC units it takes to keep the warehouses cool.
We're also looking at other places in industry where maybe there's been displacement, where you've got some smaller players in there of just basic stuff that they're doing because all the overload that AI is driving from switches and chips and things of that nature. So there's a lot of opportunity to invest in the ecosystem and not trying to really make a huge bet on a winner.
I think you have to be careful, which is we're cautious, right?
We are.
And I think you have to be careful, but you think about the Industrial Revolution. There were winners and losers. There were a lot of people that tried to take market share away from other people. There were even some investors that made bets that lost money. But over time, that was a huge impact on America. And as long as we can be the driving force of technology in the globe and across the world in innovation and the things that we do, I think it puts us in a really good category. The one thing that is really hard for people is you look at the valuations of a lot of these companies.
That's exactly right.
Right? And you're like, that valuation, it's so overvalued. And I want to remind people of something that when we got into the internet revolution, right? Nobody had ever heard of Google. And at the time, you had Microsoft. Microsoft owned the platform system. Microsoft at the time went head to head with Google in search, and Google won. And now you look at where Google's at. You can take the same story with Meta. You can take the same story early on with Amazon. You can go down the list of these major corporations in America. They were all extremely overvalued at the time. But you look at where they're at now. You look at, again, that speed of travel of where they've come from. And you look at their productivity and profitability. I think it's early to say. The one thing I will caution people on is don't broadly jump into it. It is taking a major, major step forward in everything that we do.
It will fundamentally change the world.
It's fundamentally going to change the world. but I think there's a lot of opportunity in several aspects of AI.
Absolutely. I think it's really exciting. I'm excited to be part of this generation that's going to be involved in this. And I think there's a tremendous opportunity to take advantage of what we see as the next industrial revolution.
Absolutely. The one thing is we're on it. It's a topic of discussion all the time.
Yep.
And as a client, if you'd like to learn more, check out prevailiws.com or call one of our advisors.